Hey there, welcome to the Winx Forever podcast. Join creator, host, and lifelong Winx fan Lola Valentine as she invites you to take a deep dive into the very cool universe of Winx Club. So whether you've been a Winx fan since 2004, or you vaguely remember this show from your childhood, or even if you're being introduced to it for the first time, welcome. This is the Winx Forever podcast.
Hello, fairy friends. Welcome back to the Winx Forever podcast. I am your host, Lola Valentine. Today, we have a very special guest with us. I am super excited for this episode, y'all. If you did not catch it by the introduction of this episode, we've got Vasthy Mompoint on to talk about her time voicing our girl Layla of Tides. Yes, the Princess of Tides herself. We are, of course, talking about the 4Kids dub of Winx Club here. So I'm super excited for you guys to hear this conversation. Vasthy is just an incredible talent. And she is Layla. I like to put it simply, she is the Princess of Tides. She is our fairy of Morphix. And besides that, she is just so kind and gracious, and she is so incredibly busy doing so many things all of the time, and I'm just so thankful that she took the time out of her day to come on my fairy podcast. So Vasthy, thank you so much for just being your lovely self. And without further ado, please enjoy my conversation with Vasthy Mompoint, aka the voice of Layla from the 4Kids dub of Winx Club. Hello, fairy friends. Welcome back to the Winx Forever podcast. I am your host, Lola Valentine. Today, we have a very exciting guest with us. We have Vasthy Mompoint. She is a TV and film and theater actress, singer, songwriter, dancer, voiceover artist, and director and choreographer. She's also known as the 4Kids voice actress for our favorite fairy of Morphix, Layla. Vasthy, welcome to the show.
Yay, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Of course. Oh my gosh. I mean, it's been, 20 years since the show aired in America. And so I, always appreciate anybody that worked on the show back then, coming and talking about it now. It's just such a, one, it's nostalgic for me. I grew up with the show, since I was 9.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it's just so great. So thank you again for, taking the time, today to come on and talk about it. I would love to give our guests an opportunity to get to know you and your professional background a little.
Great.
As I listed in your intro, you have an extensive TV and film and theater background, which I think is so awesome. So many of the cast at 4Kids had, that, professional background of being in musical theater or film and TV. So it's really cool to see that. I want to know, how did you get into the entertainment industry?
Well, I started off dancing when I was younger, and that kind of led me to everything else. But I started dancing, and then in high school, I did my first musical. I think it was my sophomore year, and I really liked it. So I auditioned for the musical again, and unfortunately did not get it. But despite that, I was like, I'm still gonna do this, even though I can't even make my high school musical. And I went on to move to New York, and I'm glad I did, because I went on to do several Broadway shows. The most recent being The Prom and SpongeBob. And
Yes.
and the way that I got started into voiceover, actually, I graduated from AMDA, the American Musical Dramatic Academy, and I needed to get a job right out of school, just to pay rent, because I was out of the dorms, and I saw a posting on the wall for a babysitting job. So I was like, great. So I started babysitting for this family, and one of the kid was like having like a rough behavioral night. So I made up a song for her and I started like singing to her and doing like
Oh.
weird voices. And then as I was leaving, the father was like, "Hey, I like your voice. It's really interesting." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." And he was like, "I produced a show called the Winx Club at 4 Kids TV. Would you want to come down and audition?" And I was like, "Sure." And that's kind of how I got into voiceover work.
That's
You never know where you're
incredible.
gonna get. That's why you have to be, full out and kind everywhere, because you never know where that opportunity will come from.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so fun. And being in New York at that time when kind of, I mean, this was all really like cutting edge for the time. I mean, 4 Kids was one of the leading like entertainment businesses back then for I mean, no one really knew what dubbing was. Was that your first time ever interacting? Was voice acting even on your radar?
No, I never. I mean, I'm a huge animation fan. Have been, like always have been. I just love
Yeah.
animation to this day. I watch most of what I watch is animation. Um, but I just didn't think that was even a possibility or that I could even do anything like that.
Wow.
So yeah, so it's great. And then since then, I've done a few little things there here and there, but right now I'm currently on Nickelodeon Nick Jr. show, Baby Shark. And I play
Yes.
Briny the whale, which is
Oh,
awesome. Because I get to do a Haitian accent on it, and that's a
right.
lot of fun. Yeah.
Oh my God. I love that so much. And that's so, that's so cool to see, where you've started, see, your whole, professional career just bloom over the last 20 years since being on Winx Club, which is, crazy. I want to, kind of dive into your onstage acting and how different it is from voice acting, and maybe what are some things that are different between the two, and what are things that you enjoy about each.
Well, yeah, in both you have to take good care of your voice. So like if I'm doing a show or I'm stepping into the booth, I don't drink coffee the day or night before or the day of because of like acid and all this other
Yeah.
stuff. You have to like everything has to like be in shape basically for your voice to produce good sound. So even like just like making sure you're drinking enough water and like for like pizza, like if I eat pizza before
Oh
I
wow.
sing or record, I sound terrible because dairy produces phlegm and tomato
Right.
sauce burns your cords. So it's all fun, but there's also a lot of like discipline in it as well.
Mm,
um Performing on stage obviously is way more physically exhausting. um
yeah.
but it's also great because at the end of when you do a show, at the end of the day people are clapping for you, like a whole theater full of people, and it feels great. And when you're doing like film and TV, or if you're in a sound booth, you have like, all right, that's a wrap, or that was great, and that's it, and it was just great too in its own way. But you get that it took me a while to not get used to that instant validation that theater has, where you're just automatically like applauded.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, I can imagine. For sure. So did you do any other shows on at 4 Kids, or were you just on Winx Club?
No, it was just the Winx Club, and then I was just like kind of all over the place and didn't really have, unfortunately, the time to do it once I started doing like just like Broadway shows and then just like traveling a lot. But at the time, it was just so fantastic.
You're listening to the Winx Forever podcast. Like you said, you're on Baby Shark. That is so fun. But I also want to highlight, because I think this is so cool. During the pandemic, you started your own kind of children's project called Vasthy and Friends, and it features music and video for kids. What inspired you to create media specifically for children yourself?
Well, like I never, for some reason, I never thought of ever doing that, even though the two things that I love literally more than anything on the planet besides food is are children and performing. Those I love
Oh,
those two things. the things that bring me the most joy. And so during the pandemic, I'm empathetic to a fault, and I could just like feel the panic. Obviously, everyone could, but
Mm.
I'm talking the first 2 weeks, not when we were all like, "Oh my god," but the first
Yeah.
when it was supposed to just be for 2 weeks. And so, I like my ex husband at this point at the time set up a camera, and he was like, "Let's play music." He's like, "Why don't you just play a song and guitar and read a book and see
Oh.
and invite some families, you know." And so I did that, and more families kept going and coming and coming. And then by the end of the pandemic, we raised over, like, we were able to give and raise like $25,000 away during the pandemic. And then getting like, like these great Broadway names to like write music and to perform. Nick Searley, who's in the band called the Skivvies, wrote a lot of our great music.
Wow.
And like Lauren Molina. There were just a lot of Ethan Slater, just a lot of great people that were
Yeah.
able to contribute.
Yeah, that is so cool, and I love that. It's really cool to see. Uh, yeah, when an artist is passionate about something that they do, it really does like shine through their art, and I see that in, everything that you do, but definitely, yeah, when it's voiceover, you can hear it when it's this Vasthy and Friends project. It's really cool to see, and as a creative person, it's really neat when the people that you look up to are also, inspirational and creative in that way. So yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
thanks.
of course. So we're gonna take a short break, but before we do, I always like to lead our guests in a round of Winx Club favorite rapid fire questions. I know it's been
Okay,
a
great.
while since
It
the show
has been,
aired,
but
but
let's see.
all right. We'll see what Vastey remembers. All right. Rapid fire questions. Here we go. Who is your favorite Winx Club member?
um, Layla.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it has
And
to
not
be.
just because I played her. Even if it wasn't me, I just love the way that they write her into the story. I think it's great the way they write
Yeah.
they wrote her in the story. I think she has some of the
Absolutely.
best dialogue.
I would have to agree. And what is your favorite season?
My favorite season of the first one I did, which I think was season 3,
It's season 2,
maybe
but
2 or 3.
yes.
Season 2. I get mixed up with that and Baby Shark. Just because not only was I doing the show, but I was learning. The cool thing about voiceover work, which you can't do in theater, is like they're willing to teach you as you're doing it.
Oh yeah.
Um, Same with film and TV. Like they're willing to take a chance on someone that has what they want, but they help them learn the craft. With theater, you have to walk in knowing decades of experience sometimes. But
Yeah.
but it was great because I love learning things, and I got to learn technique um and just getting to know how to use the microphone correctly. And it was just all so dreamy. And the first
Oh,
time I saw it, I was like, this is so crazy to hear my voice coming out of something else. But yeah,
yeah.
definitely that season.
Oh man, I love that. Who's your favorite? The term is specialist, but it's basically all the guys in the show. So anyone from, yeah, the guy side of Winx Club.
Oh my gosh, I cannot remember their names right now, but there was the one that had like the blonde hair, like the blonde white ish
Yeah,
looking hair. What's his
Sky.
name again?
Sky.
Sky.
Yeah.
Sky's so funny. I love Sky.
And then if you were to be a fairy or a witch, what do you think that your power would be?
Mine would be the power to produce calm. So to calm, like to step in a
Ooh,
room and just calm everybody down. And because maybe
yeah.
that could create world peace, just tell everyone to calm down. Like go
Just
into the
calm down, please.
UN, go into all these like world leaders and just say, hey, let's all meet up for something. And they don't know. And really, I'm just calming them down. I'm like, okay, why are you all so mad? What's going on? Like, can you stop?
Oh, I love that so much. Awesome. Well, that was all of our rapid fire questions. You did great.
Thank you.
um, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, we're going to dive even deeper into the character of Layla and Vasty's time getting to voice her on the 4Kids dub of Winx Club. So don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Winx Forever podcast. If you're enjoying this episode of the Winx Forever podcast, be sure to follow the show on your preferred streaming platform so that you're notified when new episodes are dropped. Hello, fairy friends, and happy 20 years of Winx Club. I'm Lola Valentine, and I am happy to say that the biggest Winx Club fan project to date is now available for free at magicalmemorieszine.com. It is 354 pages of pure nostalgic Winx fun, and I hope that you check it out. We had a blast making it. It took us over a year to plan it and gather fan stories from across the world, your stories from across the world of growing up with Winx Club over the past 20 years. And it's just been such an honor to get to create this love letter for the fandom. So thanks for being a Winx fan, and we hope that you enjoy the Magical Memories fanzine. Download it now for free on magicalmemorieszine.com. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Winx Forever podcast. Again, we are joined by Vasthy Mompoint today. We're talking about her time voicing Layla on the 4Kids dub of Winx Club. Gosh, Layla is such an important character to so many people. What was it like for you to get to voice Layla on the show?
It was awesome. It was cool for many reasons. It was cool that she was the first person of color character. I mean, not first person of color, but like the first Black character on the show. Um, and it felt really cool to be able to break that ground and to give her a voice.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it was the perfect person to voice Layla, in my opinion. I mean, you embody so many of her characteristics and qualities. And I mean, not just from the singing and dancing point, but I mean, just the strength that like Layla exudes is just incredible to hear in your performance.
Oh, thank you.
Did you have a favorite thing about Layla that you really tapped into or that you had to find yourself in?
There was a lot, like honestly, the weirdest parts of doing that were making the fight sounds because I was like, and so I'd be like, ha, like I would just like do it, and they're like, you have to, um, he would be like, just act like you're actually do the movement so it actually sounds like you're hitting them because otherwise it just sounds fake.
Yeah.
And so he would play it, but he would play it back for me. He's like, to see how that doesn't sound real, and I was like, yeah. And he's like, okay, great. Now act like there's someone that really irritates you in front of you, and then just like beat them up, and then that helped. And so that was the I remember that day so well because I was like, this is I feel so weird. Now it would bother me, but I was younger then too, and I was like, I feel so insecure and weird, but then it was like fun.
Yeah.
And he's like, just beat up an imaginary person. And so I ended up loving that. So at the end of every recording, usually they would just be a bunch of fight sounds.
Yeah, for sure. Oh my gosh. Yeah, they gotta get those in. Do
Yeah,
you have a
especially when she's like
favorite?
something, she'd go, huh? You just have to like just it's so wild.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Do you have a favorite episode that featured Layla that you can recall from the series?
Yes, it's when she finally got her Enchantix, when she finally got her Enchantix. The whole
Yes.
episode leading up to it was just so great. And I got to like make her voice emotional in that episode. And
Yeah.
then it was like the episode where I got to do like a rainbow of emotion, like
Oh,
sadness, hopeful, fear, then excitement, and then power. It was like all of them together. It was just so great.
yeah, absolutely. Given your musical theater background, it's a shame that you didn't get to sing for Layla on the show. But I was curious. So, Mattel came out with a singing doll in 2006. Did you get to sing any for that doll?
No, that would have been cool though.
Oh,
I did do all the
yeah.
video games, which was fun. Um,
Yes.
but that was also an interesting experience. But no, I didn't. I get to sing on because I think at that point Nickelodeon had the rights to it, I think, at that point. I
Yeah,
can't
they
remember.
eventually got the rights to it, yeah, later on, which was another question I had for you. Have you seen any of the other English dubs of Winx Club? There's one from like a Canadian recording company. There's one, and of course the Nickelodeon dub where you share a character with Kiki Palmer, which is crazy.
Yes, I know, it's so crazy. No, I saw the Italian. I've seen
Okay.
the Italian one, the first one, like the
Yeah.
original one.
Incredible.
And that was interesting to watch because they're like the OGs.
I know. Yeah, absolutely. So Winx Club does have a huge international fan base since it is a Italian IP. How do you feel about knowing that your versions of this character were some of the first introductions to Winx Club for American audiences?
I love it. It's awesome. Anytime you can be the first of anything, it feels very powerful and and purposeful and just wonderful. So I
Yeah.
think it's incredible.
Absolutely. And I have to, someone asked me to ask you this in the fandom. So, Winx Club went on to produce, I believe, from your time, like 5 more seasons. And it's actually in the middle of a reboot that's coming out next year. Uh, did you follow any of what happened to our girl Layla in later seasons?
No, I didn't, unfortunately.
Okay, well, here we're gonna share with
Oh
you
my gosh, share with me.
some. So they did our girl dirty. She
Oh no.
had everything happen to her. She literally, we remember Naboo, right? Naboo, the fiance that they
Yes.
didn't know was a fiance, and then they're like, "Oh, we like
Hmm.
each other." He dies in the series.
No.
He dies, and everybody is like, "Why?" Like, why did they have to do that? Like,
What
and
in the world?
then they try to pair her with like these other like guys that aren't shit, and it's just like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Poor
Um,
Layla.
yeah, she's been through it, our girl. So we're really hoping for a redemptive arc, um, in the reboot. But and then last question, did you get to catch any of the Fate the Winx saga on Netflix when it was airing?
Yes, I did. I watched a little bit of it. I thought it was good.
Yeah, yeah. So that's fun. People have mixed reviews on it, and I thought it was fun as well. But yeah, it's just kind of a more grown up version of like
I'm
Vampire
also
Diaries esque.
Yeah, I'm also very easily entertained. So like for the most part, like if especially if I'm in a good mood, I'll think that anything is that's why like I'm always careful to recommend something to someone. I'm like, it's so good, you're gonna love it. And then I'll rewatch it with them and I'm like, this isn't as good as I remember. I was just very excited in the moment as I watched it.
Oh my goodness. I love that. Well, Vasti, I just want to say from all the 4Kids fans of this show, thank you for the passion that you brought to the character of Layla. It is, a show that is very dear to a lot of people, and this is a character that means a lot, and especially your version of this character. So, 20 years ago, you probably didn't think anything of, going into a studio somewhere in New York to record this character, but like, it has lived on for a long time for a lot of fans. So thank you
Oh, thank you so
for,
much.
yeah, of course. Anything that you would like to say to the fans as a last word?
No, but just yeah, thank you for loving it so much. I had such a great time and it changed my life and it was just incredible and um it's you're very very lucky if if a dream you have comes true or something you never ever thought. I never thought that that would happen. So it's cool and just be kind and nice everywhere you go because you never know who's watching.
Yeah. Awesome. Good word. Well, Vasy, thank you so much and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
I want to thank Vasti again just for being a delight to talk to and for taking the time out to come on the show. Really, really cool stuff. I loved her story about babysitting Alan Kingsburg's kids, the producer of Winx Club, 4Kids dub. And he actually also tells that story on the 4Kids Flashback podcast with Tara Sands and Steve Yurko. So you should definitely check that out. I have a playlist in the description below that I have gone through all of the current 4Kids Flashback episodes and picked out the ones that are specific to Winx Club. And so if you want to check that out, it is linked below. Definitely a great listen to. But yeah. And I also want to thank you guys for sticking around and listening to the Winx Forever podcast. It's because of you guys and your passion that I get to have conversations like these. So thanks for sticking around, and I hope that you continue to listen to the Winx Forever podcast. But now I think Vasthy wants to close us out. So take it away, Vasthy.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode of the Winx Forever podcast, be sure to follow or subscribe to the show on your preferred streaming platform to be notified when new episodes drop. Join in on the conversation when you follow at Winx Forever Podcast on social media. The theme for the Winx Forever podcast is the song She Makes Magic by Big Wild.